Now, about 2 hours ago, the new trailer for the Bowser's Fury expansion dropped, and I gotta say, I'm shocked. Personally, I didn't expect a whole lot from this port and little extra piece of DLC, but after seeing what it has to offer, I'm really excited. The levels and world as a whole look like some sort of combination of Super Mario 3D World and Super Mario Odyssey. It's very open world, and it seems like you can go anywhere and do anything, but inside the world you come across short, more linear challenges, and all of this works pretty well by the looks of it. However, there was also another thing that kind of stood out. Mario is working together with Bowser Jr., and Bowser is taken over by some sort of evil force that makes him huge and more powerful. And while all of this is cool and will probably introduce some new interesting story elements to the game, the ideas seen in this trailer aren't really new. We've seen a whole lot of these concepts in other games before, which was also the case with stuff seen in Super Mario Odyssey. I also did a video on that, which can be found in the upper right corner. But watch that video later, because for now, let's dive right into this video. Now, Bowser's Fury is apparently a new mode in this port, and it stars Mario and Bowser Jr. working together. And they do this to save an unnamed area from Bowser, who appears to have been corrupted by some unknown dark power. In a way, it reminds me a bit of the Fuzzies. Now, the lighthouses on the island are covered in a black ink-like substance, which is actually similar to something we had seen in Paper Mario. But I will get back to that later on. Now, the waters are also covered in this substance, as well as having large spiked pillars sticking out of it. And in the center of it all lies Bowser's shell, which you can break out of, and then you face the kaiju version of Bowser. But have we seen this before in other Mario games and spin-off stuff? And what exactly is really new and what isn't? Well, one thing that isn't really new is the black goop seen around the world of Bowser's Fury, because we've seen it before in Super Mario Sunshine, for example. In this game, it sometimes covers portions of water, and this black paint isn't too healthy for you. And the stuff we see in Bowser's Fury looks a lot like it. Heck, we even see Bowser with his paintbrush. So it could be very fitting. And even the Shadow Mario M logo is seen during the intro of the game. However, there's actually something else that's also a pretty good fit, but it wasn't seen in the main series. It was actually seen in Paper Mario Color Splash, where we encounter some sort of black paint as well. Now, as a lot of you know, this is an action-adventure turn-based role-playing game that was made for the Wii U. It's the 5th installment in the Paper Mario series, as well as the 20th and final Mario game released for the Wii U. And as a direct successor to Sticker Star, it expands on many gameplay elements introduced in that game. And there's one thing that played a big role in this title: colors, with black being the most evil one. And that's because black paint is a toxic substance in this game. It's an overall bad influence. Now, it's created when all 6 of the normal colors of paint are mixed together, as shown when Roy Koopa mixes up all Mario's paint in his battle. And we also see this when Bowser spins around in his shell in the Prisma Fountain, mixing all of the colors together. And throughout the events of the game, it possesses Bowser, turning him into Black Bowser, forcing him to steal the big paint stars of Port Prisma and ordering his minions to drain the island and its inhabitants of their color. Although weirdly enough, Roy Koopa also used black paint in his battle, but it didn't seem to impact his thoughts at all, which is a bit odd. Now, the substance is also supposedly painful to touch, as Mario takes 30 HP of damage when he touches it. So a black substance that makes Bowser stronger and takes him over isn't really that new. This is a concept they have toyed around with quite recently even. So that isn't really new. But what about his immense size and menacing look? Well, that's sort of new, but not completely. We've seen a gigantic version of Bowser many times before, for example in Super Mario Galaxy 2. In this game he invades the Mushroom Kingdom, but this time he is gigantic, due to the power of the Power Stars that he stole earlier. He's faced 3 times, and the fights take place on a spherical planetoid, where Bowser attempts to crush Mario with his fists and sends meteors crashing down. So clearly a gigantic Bowser isn't really new, and there are many more examples of this, like New Super Mario Bros. Wii. However, there's one that fits the best, and that's also because it kind of gives me the same vibe. The whole Pacific Rim kaiju feel. And it's seen in Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, where we fight a baby version of Bowser. After fighting him in his normal form, Kamek shows up and uses his magic on baby Bowser, causing him to grow into the kaiju-sized big baby Bowser. In the end, the castle you were fighting in is destroyed, and so the final battle takes place on the remains of the room. At the beginning, he sends debris down to destroy parts of the ground, and during the second phase, he attacks by breathing fireballs at you, and all while he's advancing from the background. And if big baby Bowser gets too close to the castle, the ground will be destroyed, instantly defeating Yoshi. And in order to win, you must throw gigantic eggs into the background at big baby Bowser to knock him back. And after enough hits, he simply charges forward, and after a total of 7 hits, he is defeated, causing him to return to his normal size, and it also knocks him out. It's quite clear that this fight that was made all the way back in 1995 is quite similar to what we see in Bowser's Fury. Sure, it's not the exact same, but overall the idea is similar. They even kind of look the same, although in Bowser's Fury you fight him by turning into a gigantic kaiju monster yourself. But it's quite clear that they took some inspiration from this game and combined it together with movies like Pacific Rim to create the ultimate monster Bowser. And the fact that Mario becomes some sort of gigantic god lion is completely original actually. We haven't seen anything like that before, so it's kind of a new spin on an existing idea. But what about the mechanic of Fury Bowser waking up every so often and terrorizing the world, as well as changing it in ways? Is that truly new? Well, for the Super Mario series, yes. For Nintendo as a company, not really, and I will explain why. Also, if you're wondering where I got this info, it was mentioned in a more detailed video that Nintendo uploaded later on. Now, the whole concept of such an event was actually seen before in a Nintendo Switch game, Zelda Breath of the Wild. Here we see an event known as a Blood Moon, which occurs at midnight on nights when Calamity Ganon's power, the game's villain, reaches its peak and escapes from Zelda's control within Hyrule Castle, where he is actually locked away. The night sky and the moon become red with malice, which is his evil essence, and the effects of it will revive any fallen monsters and enemies, returning them to where they once were prior to being slain. In general, when the time comes, malice will rise from the ground, like when Link is aboard a corrupted divine beast, around pools of malice, or on the grounds of Hyrule Castle. And then, at some point, the sky will turn red, and the clouds will begin to fly by very fast. And when midnight hits, Zelda will warn Link that a blood moon has risen and advises him to take caution. Now, all of this is clearly similar to what we see in this new Bowser's Fury expansion. Here we also have a dark menace that awakens every now and then and brings chaos. We can even see that the kittens found around this new world become hostile and aggressive when Bowser is awake. So it's quite similar to the Blood Moon event, but even better in my opinion because the main villain actually does something during it all. But what about Bowser Jr.? He helps Mario in this new game because his dad Bowser has probably lost control. Otherwise, he wouldn't breathe fire at his own son. We have seen in a lot of games that he truly loves him. However, is the fact that Bowser Jr. helps Mario anything new? Well, again, not really, because we have seen something like this before in a game like Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Here at the end of the game, you actually work together with Bowser Jr. to an extent, and at some point you even have to help him because his father has lost control. Because upon arrival at Bowser's castle, Bowser Jr. requests you to help Bowser return to his normal self, as he is barely conscious and near the villain of the game, Megabug. And later on, Bowser even fuses with this villain, creating Mega Dragon Bowser, who must be defeated for Bowser to be free again. So to be honest, while it hasn't been seen in many games, in a couple out there, Mario does work together with Bowser Jr. But this is the first time, as far as I know, where you can do co-op where one of your friends plays as him. But what about the weapon that Bowser Jr. uses? Well, the paintbrush is again nothing new because he used it before. In Super Mario Sunshine, he used this EGAD invention to terrorize the Piantas and cover the island they live on in paint. And here we see one mark pop up again and again, a big M in paint with 2 stripes above it. A lot of you have probably seen it at some point. Heck, the logo of the channel is exactly that, except it's a W instead of an M. And again, we see this logo in Bowser's Fury. Thanks to it, Mario actually ends up in a cat world where Bowser rules. And for the people who haven't seen that, there's a little video about the game's story posted on the Japanese website of the game. So again, all of this isn't really new. But that doesn't mean any of it is bad. While they clearly drew inspiration from a lot of different things in Mario games and even Zelda games, it looks amazing in this game. And personally, I'm really excited to give it a go and make videos on it. So stay tuned, because there's more to come. And don't you forget that little video in the upper right corner.